production here. I just videotaped them trying to get the video rendered.
Oh, I gotcha. Yeah, I know how that is. So how you been?
I've been pretty good, pretty good, pretty good, pretty good.
How did Great Britain treat you?
Oh, we had a great time in London. In
Mhm.
London, it was a nice experience.
Yep.
Saw a lot of typical London attractions there. Although I find it weird, why would you send a kid or a child on a on a I wish you could say an interactive show that's
Mhm.
based upon the dark and scary images of London back during the day. For some reason, there's a thing called the London Dungeon,
Uh-huh.
and it's basically just like it's like 12 to 15 interactive action where you see actors portraying imagery of some of London's dark past, like the Black Plague, the Great Fire,
Sure.
the Madison King George, and of course, no Jack the Ripper.
Mhm.
Now we're in this particular part where we're in this bar that a lot of people said Jack the Ripper frequent. Now it's now you see the actress playing the role, but then all of a sudden the whole room goes dark, and then she moves to another part of the set, and
Mhm.
then all of a sudden when it goes dark again, the whole thing goes dark, and we don't see anything. And next thing you know, the light starts to strobe, and then all of a sudden you see a guy dressed like Jack the Ripper about to stab you.
Oh,
And
geez.
unfortunately, he was at the table where these kids, basically no more than 6 or 7 year old, and of course he's scared the shit out of him. so, so they whined and cried for about a good 5 to 10 minutes. Like, what were you bringing kids in here? You talk about a woman that used to was with Jack Sweeney Todd.
Yeah.
I forgot
Yeah.
his thing with the meat pies, and
Yeah.
she used to actually feed and make the remains of his victims and put them in her meat pies. That really that's something you don't take a 7 or 6 year old child to see. You should have taken her because Shrek was right next door. Should have taken him to go see Shrek.
Yeah, I don't understand how parents can do that, how they take kids to certain things like that, or you don't pay attention to what what that film's going to be about,
Hmm.
beforehand. At least look it up. I mean, that's what we did with our kids. We usually looked up what the movie was going to be, and first we'd ask if they were interested. We wouldn't just take
Yeah,
them,
yeah.
and
Hmm.
then it was like, well, okay, so is this movie something they're going to enjoy, or is it something that's going to keep them up at night and we're going to have to stay up with them? And yeah. Now granted, when I was a kid, I watched a lot of things I wasn't supposed to. So thanks to my parents. I don't know if it was a trend of the 80s or what, but I watched a lot of films that I was way too young to be watching. Um,
Hmm.
I
I mean,
saw
yeah, I mean,
I saw Conan the
yeah. Go ahead.
Barbarian in the theater.
Hmm.
So I was 7 at the time when it came
Oh.
out. We saw it at the Fox Theater. It was an interesting experience because um, yeah, there were people passing a joint in the theater, and they were yelling at the theater, and people were making comments, and yeah, it was hilarious. It was funny, but I was way too young to be watching that film. Um,
Hey, like I said before, I snuck in to go see the Exorcist. I was like
that's
12 or
awesome.
13 at the time.
Hmm.
At the 12 or 13 at the time when The Exorcist first came out, my mother thought I was too young to see. I couldn't be able to handle it. I was like, I can't handle that. I've seen a horror picture before. No, but I could get because you never see because I've always said before, you never saw a movie like that
No.
ever before.
Hmm.
And when you see Reagan, especially when she's really when darn, what's her name? Linda Blair is all made up with the makeup and all like that. She looks quite frightening.
Yeah.
Quite frightening. But most of the things I laughed at.
Yeah. You know, but that falls in line with people taking their kids to see, Deadpool
Hmm.
or what was it? Oh, uh, my wife wanted to see Bad Moms Christmas, and we went on $5 Tuesday. And so we went to see Bad Moms Christmas because she wanted to see it. I'm like, okay, we'll go out. She doesn't usually see too many movies in the theater, so when she wants to go, we go. And it's an entertaining movie, but it is rather crass and vulgar. And
Yeah.
and so this mom brought her like 9-year-old boy to this movie. and I'm like, never mind whether or not the material was appropriate or not. Anything in this movie is pretty much going to go over his head as to why it's actually humorous. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, just find a sitter or something. Pick a different night. But well, what are you gonna do? So, did you what were your thoughts with Mr. Patterson being the new Batman? Good old Shiny from Twilight.
What are you gonna do? I mean, it's like this. I guess other than the Twilight movies, he's done. I haven't seen him. I mean, I only saw the first Twilight because I just wanted to see if if it was pretty good as a vampire picture, or was just something that was not. It was just marketed for tweeny girls.
Yeah.
And it was marketed for tweeny girls.
It was. Oh,
And
definitely. It's kind of like 50 Shades of Grey. It was made for the fans of the material, but if you come in from the outside and don't know the books, you're looking at this going, wow, this is some shit. This is not
yeah,
good.
I said this is not meant for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because obviously Stephanie Meyer wrote that book for tweeny girls.
You and I both are not the target demographic
No,
for
no, 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 no.
Twilight. We're completely the opposite of that demographic that they're shooting for, you know. But the demographic that's supposed to be for us is X-Men Dark Phoenix, which that film, yeah.
Oh. I don't know if you saw my review or not, but
I
here,
unfortunately didn't get a chance to watch it, but I just saw you mention Rant, so I'm like, I gotta watch it. I just haven't had a chance to, but
yeah, because I didn't know if I wanted to rant or not. I decided not to rant because it's
Mhm.
not like I hated the movie or not, or it's a bad movie. It was just so disappointing because the story is so bland. I mean, it's like whatever problems they had when they first decided to do this movie. Because if you know the comics of Dark Phoenix, it takes time before Jean Grey. When Jean Grey first gets the Phoenix Force inside of her,
Right.
and it gradually starts to corrupt her. Up until the point when she actually does become Dark Phoenix. It's not something that happens overnight or quickly. That was the first problem I had with the film. Another problem is that they really do nothing else but other than the characters. Yeah, we have a little arc with Charles Xavier. Some people didn't like it, but I said, well, that's something what Charles Xavier does in the comics. Yeah, he's a benevolent character, but he has done some things in the past, some questionable things in the past that test his morality. But then
Yeah.
he owns up to it. He said, well, okay, look, I fucked up. I shouldn't have done that.
Yeah. Yeah, I was a dick. Yeah. You know what? I was a total dick. I get it. All right. Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, it was so bland. I was like, wow, I not watched a superhero film in a while that did like nothing. It was like the trailer. You watch the trailer and you get almost all the key points from the film. You're just like, there is nothing in here that either surprised me or was like, wow, I'm glad I saw this. And never mind the fact they completely ignore whatever happened in Apocalypse.
Oh yeah,
Apparently,
that was another thing I had a problem with continuity issues. Is like, wait a minute, she already had the Phoenix Force. I mean, that's how she defeated Apocalypse in the whatchamacallits, and now she doesn't have it. So that
well,
was that was so. But here's what I thought. I think Simon Cleaver, because of the disaster they did with the Last Stand, so they decided, okay, well, let's try to pull something from the comics because she initially becomes because they go out in space. They had run into some problems. Jean Grey decides to use her powers to hold back the radiation, but then all of a sudden the Phoenix. So it's something similar. So he definitely decided to pull that from the comics.
Right.
Mm.
Yeah, I thought the setup better. Well, one of the better superhero films in general is X-Men 2. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and I thought they set that up well. I just remember the guy that sat next to my wife and I when we went to see X-Men 2, and I swear I was like, dude, you need a towel or some time alone because we were in one of these sections in our theater where there were 3 seats. And so my wife and I are
Mm-hmm.
sitting in 2 of them, and usually you don't get someone sitting next to you when it's like that. You know what I mean? And people just don't tend to just sit there, especially when there's many other seats that are just as good in the theater. Well, this guy ended up sitting next to us. We're like, okay, whatever. And this guy is, he's
Mm-hmm.
making not too many comments. But then when Jean Grey does her thing in the X-Men 2,
Yes.
the original trilogy, the X-Men 2, she does that, she holds that back, and then all of a sudden she disappears, and then at the end, through the water, they do the little image of the Phoenix. This
Yeah.
dude, I swear, popped. He's like, dude, just like that. He's like, they're gonna do Dark Phoenix. Oh my god, I bet they're gonna do Dark Phoenix, dude. Did you know that they're gonna do Dark Phoenix? Oh my god! And he starts rocking in his chair for a full minute, talking about, I can't believe it, they're gonna do Dark Phoenix. And I'm just sitting here going, wow, dude,
Ooh, man. Talk about
mad pro-
fanboying.
mad props for you being passionate about it. And I didn't know anything about Dark Phoenix because I didn't follow much Marvel or anything. I just like the X-Men film. And this
I
dude
mean,
though, he's like, Christmas came way early for this guy.
I mean, it's like that. I mean, I thought I was fanboying too much when the first Transformers come out, and I'm just going in awe, listening to Peter Cullen's voice as Optimus Prime, and I'm thinking back as the '80s cartoon and how much fun that was.
Yeah,
So
no,
I'm sitting just, I'm just busy just gawking at the screen.
yeah, well, and for me, I wasn't faulting the guy. It was just a little unexpected. I'm like, okay,
Oh
dude,
yeah.
you do you, man. But I'm like, I don't know what the Dark Phoenix is, but it must be something big. So I went home later and looked it up and that, and I'm like, oh yeah, now I see why he was kind of thrown a fit. And then X-Men 3 came out, and I was wondering what that guy thought of X-Men 3.
I'm pretty, I'm pretty sure he was highly disappointed.
I'm sure he was too. And Dark Phoenix, I get, apparently there are a couple of people that actually watch my reviews locally because I tag
Hmm.
myself in the movie theater. I tag it in my pictures when I do my pictures in front of the movie posters and that. And
Hmm.
apparently by tagging them, my pictures end up showing up on their Facebook page. So people actually, a few people anyway, actually have listened to my reviews locally, and these 2 high school girls apparently tagged me in this conversation, and they said it was 10 out of 10 and that I was completely wrong, but they used some other words, and I'm like, uh, one they called me once, so someone, she tagged it and went, Special Mark Productions who, and then another, the reply was, oh my god, you tagged the movie review god. And she goes, heck yeah, I did. He's a queen, but spelled Kween. And
Ooh.
I have no idea. I'm like, I'm old, and I'm like, I'm thinking, oh hey, at least they're listening to my reviews, so there you go. Like, all right, mad props for you on that. I'll
Yeah.
take it.
Hmm.
All
Yeah,
right.
but it was like this, and I went on ahead and said that the Last Stand was better than Dark
Dark
Phoenix.
Phoenix. Well,
Yeah,
didn't you get the feeling with Dark Phoenix like everybody had checked out of this film and out of these characters by now? Like almost everybody was just going through the motions, but none of them felt. I mean, you know, freaking Jennifer Lawrence, for crying out loud, was like, "Get me out of this film." Yeah, you know.
well,
Um,
it's put it this way: it's not as it. I mean, other than the Hunger Games. I mean, what other movie has she really done? I mean, yeah, I know she did well in some of the other 2 games. I mean, I think what was that movie she starred with darn Brian, no, um I can't remember that they were in Philly.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. You're talking about Silver Linings Playbook.
Yeah, Silver Linings Playbook. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. I
she
heard
was
he was.
she was fantastic in that.
Yeah.
And I haven't seen it yet, but apparently she was the best part of Red Sparrow. And I liked her in
Oh, I didn't hear
uh
good things about that.
well her. I didn't hear things about the movie, but and then the one American Hustle, she was good in that one.
Mm-hmm.
As well, but she was a supporting character. She wasn't a star, but
Mm-hmm.
she's decent. She's a decent actress. I mean, she's nominated, and I think she's won. But in any case, the sheer caliber of actors that they have in this newer X-Men, or had in this new X-Men timeline,
Mm-hmm.
and these actors in this film, they felt like they were just like, are we done yet? Can I get my check? Can we, it's like, okay, yeah, never mind the cars. I'm just going to pull the subway car out of the street to block the door because the 1,000 cars around me, Magneto didn't think was good enough. And still, everybody's trying to decide what happened to Magneto in 10 years to go
Mm-hmm.
from Michael Fassbender to looking like Ian McKellen, who just like, wow, man, he had some rough 10 years.
No, no, and see, and that's another thing. As much as I like Michael Fassbender and this particular version of Magneto, he's nothing in here. He's just there because he's Magneto, and that's it. But there's nothing there. He's there. Uh, him and Charles have their little one on one. Then he wants to go off and kill Phoenix because she killed Rogue, because she killed Mystique.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, but that's not a very good story arc, and it's like, yeah, and that third act, which there were some good moments in it. I like the Nightcrawler teleportation action scenes. I thought that was pretty
Yeah.
good, even though there's really not, even though that's not what Nightcrawler is about.
Nightcrawler, he's the only character where suddenly, it's like he had a little bit of an arc to where he went mad and then just started offing people. And I'm like, oh, cool. I mean, it's darker. It was more violent than a lot of your comic book movies, but so much of nothing happens in this film that you're just
I know, and that was my main problem. I said it was just like with Ma.
Mhm.
Nothing happened. And this one here, nothing happened. It was just, yeah, you had some good acting, and I've never seen any episode of Game of Thrones, so I've never seen Sophie Turner do anything other than this.
Right.
And she was pretty good in Apocalypse, one of the few bright things of Apocalypse, and she's good here. But unfortunately, again, the story is just too flat.
Yeah, she's a great actress. She was great in Game of Thrones, and you're right, she is one of the brighter spots of here and in Apocalypse. And
Mm,
that's what confused me the most is when this film starts, I'm like, wait, didn't she kind of discover her Phoenix power at the end of the last one? And
mm.
now, no, we don't. And they hint at something have happened between her and the group, but you're like, did I miss something in between? Because you're right, the writing was so A to B to C. I mean, it was so like predictable and flat, and you're just like, you could see more. It's great. Yes, we got darker, more violent superheroes, but there's nothing around this story.
And
Deadpool.
there's no. I mean, yeah, what made the Affinity Wars and Endgame so great was, one, we were invested in the characters because they took their time, but the story was engaging and up. It had, we finally get this great. We finally get the first part where it's just basically the Thanos story and the reason why he wants to do it. And then the end game is like how the Avengers are going to put everything back, and that was great. It was great storytelling here, and I understand that there were a lot of production issues, from what I'm understanding. But
Sure.
still, and I think what happened was 20th Century Fox knew that once the Disney merger took place, they said, okay, well, what's the final X-Men story we can do? Well, let's go ahead and redo the Dark Phoenix story again, and
Yeah,
just put this crap together. Put this crap together they put up there, and that's what we got.
I totally agree that I think the pending Fox Disney merger, which was happening just as or just before they were going to actually go into production on this film, had a
Mm,
lot to do with probably how this film ended up playing out, in all honesty. The House of the Mouse. But so we'll get going here. We'll get rolling on this film. This will be interesting. I'll be interested on your thoughts on this for sure. So, alrighty. Yes, my friends, thank you for joining us once again in the spoiler room. And I was just inspired. I mean, last month I did 32 Godzilla films. I reviewed and watched them all. We reviewed and talked about last week Godzilla King of the Monsters. And so I'm kind of inspired by big monster films. So I decided, let's revisit a film I didn't quite think too highly of. And has my opinion changed, has aged, helped me accept it. And well, tonight we're going to be looking at Cloverfield from 2008, and I have a great person to discuss this film with me tonight. It is the horror miser himself. Monty is back with us. Lamont, hello, sir. Welcome back from your trip on Great Britain. How you doing tonight?
I'm doing fine. Had a great vacation. Enjoyed my time in London. Now we get to talk one of my favorite found footage movies, Cloverfield.
Oh, this is going to be an interesting discussion. So you like Cloverfield, do you?
Oh, I love Cloverfield. I actually got the steel box DVD. I had that. That was one of the first things I bought when it finally came out, and I bought the steel box version of it.
Nice. Well, then, since you do enjoy the film, I would love to hear your synopsis of Cloverfield.
Well, basically, it's a found footage film. We see this guy. He's off to Japan for, I guess, for some job, and all of a sudden, where all these nice 20-something looking 20-year-olds are busy at the house party and wishing him good luck, an explosion happens. And next thing we know, a whole bunch of crap is taking place in New York, and they all find out that some type of monster is attacking New York. And all the while trying to escape, he has to go get the love of his life, but she's at another part of the city. And that's basically what the film is. We see them trying to avoid the monster, and the army's trying to attack them, and he's trying to go and get his love of his life. All the while, one of his best friends is filming everything.
So, what is it about this film that you enjoy initially? I mean, you do you enjoy the found footage genre?
Some, yes. If found footage is done right, then you get Cloverfield. If it's done wrong, then you get found footage 3D.
That's well put. Now, why I said this is an interesting discussion. When I first watched this, I didn't quite care for the film, and rewatching it, I found a little bit more appreciation to it. But this is still a hard sell for me. But truth be told, found footage in general for me has always been a tough sell. The genre, I just don't know. I guess for me, it's one of those things where, like you said, if done right, and here, I think I was looking for something a little bit different than what I got out of Cloverfield, which is why going into it, I'm like, okay, what's this? Once I realized it is a monster film, and the parts we get with the monster are pretty cool, but I found myself doing the same thing many people did during the 2016 Godzilla film is, I want to see that movie. I want to see what's going on up there, not here with these people who are repeating lines and making some really, really dumb decisions. Which, okay, I'm a horror fan. I get it. People make dumb decisions in horror films. Don't get me wrong. But for me, this film was a tough sell. I just would start to get into it, and then we would get back to these characters. Did you like these characters, these 20-somethings in here, Lamont, or was it more of the story and the things going on around them that you liked?
I think it was mainly a combination of both. I did like the characters. I think, the story was engaging because, you see them they're actually trying to get away from the monster, not trying to go through it. Now, of course, this guy, I can't remember his name, he realizes that he actually loves this girl, and he has to go save her.
Oh, Rob.
And,
Rob.
Rob. Yeah, Rob. His name is Rob. Yeah. So he has to go save her. So I kind of get the gist of that. Now, of course, one of the problems with found footage films is that why are you constantly holding a camera and filming everything when your ass should be running towards the other way? So you have to, and that's one of the problems found footage has, is because now that was the only thing I got. The only thing I really didn't like is that you got his boy who's filming everything. He's which I think one of the reasons why I liked it because how it's set up decently. We see them him and his boy and his brother and his boy. They all wish him well and they film and everything. And we see that he slept together with his girl, but they had sex. And next thing you know, he feels guilty. Both feel guilty about it because they've been platonic friends for so long and now realize that they actually love each other.
Right.
So I liked it how it's all set up.
Mm-hmm.
So, but again, like I said, why are you holding the camera that long?
See, and that was my tough part. And unfortunately, with found footage, that's one of the things where you got, and it's the problem I usually have with found footage. That's why I like it better if they bring it up like once, shoot everything. Like in REC, it kind of made sense. They were a news crew. He was a camera guy. I get it. And I'm sure you do too. When you film stuff in that, people who really like shooting stuff with video will continue to shoot it,
Mm-hmm.
but getting the line, we've got to shoot everything. We got to document everything. I'm like, okay, I get it. But the girl that you really like is being attacked by these little monsters that fell off the big monster. And you're trying to wave it off with one hand and shoot Phil with the other. And I'm like, all the whole time I'm just sitting there going, dude, put the fucking camera down.
No, that's one of the things I liked about in record and quarantine, because since that was shot, you actually do see the camera and beat the affected person up with the camera.
So I love that bit. Oh,
that was good, but then he's filming and he's not, and it's like, why don't you just take the camera and beat the crap out of that thing?
Now, I do love T.J. Miller, and I totally forgot it was him in this film because later on, he'd go on and just is freaking hilarious in was it Deadpool? So I forgot it was a young him in this film. And he was one of the more humorous parts of the movie, but it was tough for me to really get into, especially because, and it's the issue that some of these other found footage films have is, I think the setup. I get what you're saying about the setup with the characters, and I got it. I thought that went a little too long with their setup. I'm like, we get who these people are fairly quickly. Because they aren't exactly deep characters. You have kind of represented, like you said, you got the best bud, you got his brother, you got the girl he really has loved for a long time, but is afraid to admit something, so you kind of got that set up already and you get that, but it took a while to get to the monster thing, and then once you do, like when I saw it on the big screen, problem I had was the shaky cam. I get it. It's found footage. But for me, it was very distracting. But again, that happens with a good chunk of found footage. Now they're better now, especially because of the cameras, but also because I think people realize you don't want your audience motion sick.
No.
And some of the camera work I thought was good. And other part, I don't know. It just felt like, it was just a tough sell for me in general, I think, with this film. But there were parts I liked. I liked the parts when you actually get to see the monster, which actually, I don't know if you watched this film too recently, but I'm going to admit the CGI surprisingly holds up fairly well with the monster in this film.
Oh yeah. I thought they did a pretty good job with the CGI. It didn't look phony.
No, it didn't. Even for 2008. And how'd you feel about the monster, the design? Because when I watched it a second time, I realized we see a lot more monster than I thought we had when I first watched the film. What'd you think of this monster, the design it had?
It's an interesting design. I like the fact that they kept it hidden they didn't show it all at once until like midway through the second act of the film when we actually see the whole monster.
Mhm.
And I thought it was scary looking. I loved the design. It didn't look like any of the other kaiju monsters that we've seen before. I'm glad they didn't go that route. So I really liked the design of what they did with the monster. I liked how in the final act when we actually get to see his face, we could see his little things bubbles when he's breathing up and down. I thought that was it looked weird, but I thought that was nice.
Yeah, it felt at least an original design, which was a nice
Mm,
thing to see. You look at it, and then I remember later on, after the film came out, they had released actual like full pictures of what it was supposed to look like.
mm-hmm,
And it is a freaking creepy, feels original monster design, and I liked that. And you know, for me though, I wanted to see the film outside of these characters, and I understand found footage was, but I would love to see them do another version to where you follow things from the outside a little more Godzilla like, I guess. You know, for me, because the characters, in all honesty, I didn't really care for too much. The you know, I though I get the irony that and a little bit of parallelism where the guy Rob is going to Japan, which is famous for big monster films.
mm-hmm.
And here, you know, I liked that connection a bit, but yeah, I'm not, you know, eh, I'm not sure what it is. You know, it parts of me are saying I really should dig this film, and there were little tidbits, but most part, I mean, we get that part too, and I understand it's for the plot where you get it where they carpet bomb the creature finally, and they're taken off in the helicopter.
Mm-hmm.
And there's two or three helicopters in the area, but after he carpet bombs them, he goes after the one with the camera. You know what I mean? I mean, I don't know. You know, it it was interesting their approach to it. And I mad props for them taking an original approach to a monster film because I think that, well, you've watched many a big monster film, I'm sure.
Oh
This
yeah.
does. Do you think this does capture that spirit though? And maybe how do you feel that it would capture maybe that you are getting a true perspective of kind of what it would be like, say, if Godzilla was attacking a city, because we really get only glimpses of that, but never to the extent we do here of a monster attacking the city, the perspective from the people. How do you feel they captured that? Do you think they captured at least that well, that it felt like, yeah, this is what it would look like from their perspective?
Yeah, I think that's one of the things I thought about when I was watching. First of all, I didn't even get any Godzilla thing like that. I just
Mhm.
felt as though, say, wow, a monster attacking one of the largest cities in the country.
Sure.
And this is probably the reaction we would have if we had a monster like Godzilla attack New York City. So I felt as though this is an original idea. This is actually pretty good. So I did enjoy that aspect of it, but not once to actually didn't even think about Godzilla.
Hmm.
Godzilla. I was just more immense in the storyline and how good the story was and how nice the film was. But I
Sure.
wasn't really thinking about Godzilla though.
Well, what I just meant in the Godzilla films prior, we still never really got to see a like complete perspective from just a normal civilian of what happens
Hmm.
around them when there's a monster in their city. And in here,
Hmm.
uh, I felt they captured it well, and it almost made me wish that we watch a Godzilla film from this perspective as well. And it'd be quite
Hmm.
similar. Though, Lamont, what is it with monsters or aliens? What do they got against, uh, you know, historical monuments and national monuments? Why are they always getting picked up? Because
I,
this.
I, th- I think that
Go
I
ahead.
think that's coming from the writer's perspective. Hey, let's have them blow up the White House, or let's have them blow up um, Empire State Building and Independence Day. You know, just the shock of seeing that is supposed to shock the audience. You know, I
Yeah,
think that's the reason why they do that. I mean, even in Independence Day, the resurgence, you know, they destroyed the London Bridge.
yeah, London Bridge, and they dropped the Eiffel Tower from the sky, and fun but
Mhm.
completely ridiculous. So yeah, I get
Yeah.
that here though. My son, he watched Cloverfield with me. He didn't quite care for it too much, but he was like, I thought the head of the Statue of Liberty was supposed to be bigger because it seemed after it got thrown, it was rather small, and then it kind of went to a different size later on when they were walking.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a character in particular that you really liked in here? You said you liked the Rob character. Did you? Was there any other character that out of this group that you actually felt like connected to or didn't want to see something bad happen to?
No, I think her name is Lizzie Chaplin. I liked her character. I thought she was
Mhm.
nice,
Oh
because she was
yeah.
just, yeah, she was just there. I think she was a friend of somebody else, but she just came to the party. And poor TJ Miller, he was so dead on her. That was actually funny.
That was the better parts of the film was when he was trying to subtly like I like you type of thing and she's just not having any of it.
Every
And
of it, and he was at first he was doing a piss poor job of trying to talk to her, but that made it so funny. I couldn't help but laugh at it.
it is one of the better parts, but that's TJ Miller too, and he's just funny. He can be really
Hmm.
funny like that. But yeah, I'm glad you brought her up because I liked her character too. And out of all these, I think out of all the people that we get, she feels the most real in
Hmm.
some respects from her reaction to everybody around her to especially the reaction she has after we saw her after the first attack experience we get with the creature where she's like in shock because she saw it eat
Hmm.
people. And
Yeah.
yeah, out of all these characters, I think she feels the most well written actually out of them because the rest, I'm sorry, dude. Rob, I understand he loves her,
Hmm.
but but you know, I just I'm
You,
like,
you think there's simply no way in the world he would have traveled that far on the other side of the city when there's a monster attacking the town to go save her?
it was tough. It was just tough. I'm like, and I don't think actually, now that watching it again, it may not have been so much of that motivation as either the performance or just how he was written. I think for
Hmm.
me, it was just one of those where I was like, I'm just not, it feels like you're doing this because you feel a sense of duty, not that you actually care for her. And the rest of the people, I understand his buddy Hud going with him, which
Yeah.
again, my son pointed out, Hud, that's what you look through on a video camera. His name
Yeah.
was Hud. I'm like, I love my kids because they give me perspective. Like, you know what? I hadn't thought about that, but
No,
he meant,
I actually did when I first saw this Gary's HUD. I
uh-huh.
says, "Ooh, that's a nice play." Heads up display HUD.
Well, it
I,
shows you
that
how.
don't.
Go ahead.
The only reason why I know that is because at the time I was playing Metroid on my Wii, and the first thing you do is you get the heads up display. And that's where I got the
The
HUD from.
HUD.
Hmm.
Nice. Which excellent game, by the way. I loved that game when you get into the first person. Yeah. And this
Hmm.
is this is what is found footage is supposed to put the audience in the experience that the people are having. Which one of the better parts that I actually enjoyed was the scene on the bridge with the brother. Although again, we get plot convenience in that he just happens to be a character we followed and he happens to be in the right point in time to get squashed by a tail.
Uh,
You know, I liked that scene. What'd you think of the bridge scene where they're trying to evacuate people and good old Rob's brother Jason buys it? What'd you feel about that setup? I mean, did it feel natural? Did it, or was it just a little too convenient? Or do you not? Is this one of those films where you're not supposed to really think that far into it?
no, at the time I wasn't thinking that far into it, but I
Hmm.
thought the scene was nice because you didn't because at the time you know that there's a monster there, but you don't know when it's going to attack.
Hmm.
So they're on the bridge. He's trying to yell at them. All of a sudden, the bridge starts to shake, and we know something's happening. And all of a sudden, you see this tail just slam down. I'm like, whoa!
Just took him out. You're like,
Just,
didn't expect that one to die first.
mhm. So I actually thought it was
Mhm.
a nice scene and how it was all set up. These because you didn't know what to expect, and to see that happen, I was like, damn.
Yeah, and
So I actually I enjoyed that scene. That let me know is that this film's going to go places. They're willing to do take those boundaries and go and actually kill some people off because that's basically what you expect when a monster is attacking the city. People want to die.
yeah. Oh no, I mean you fully expect that, and for sure. And I mean they set that up pretty good in the beginning. When well not the beginning, that when the monster attack finally starts happening, which again
Hmm.
takes about 18 minutes, folks. So if you go into the film, you gotta wait about 18 minutes before stuff starts happening. Uh, but you're right, people are going to die, and they do an excellent job of keeping things a mystery, which is always scarier when you don't know truly what what it fully looks like, how big it is, what exactly is it going to do. So there is some fear built up there. But one of the things that I caught this time around that maybe it was because I was just watching it as a horror film and I was trying to get into it and the camera shaking was distracting me, was it made me realize just how much of a metaphor they were going for with a terrorist attack on New
Hmm.
York, especially with the portrayal of the first of the was it the Chrysler building falling after when the monster knocks it down and you see the cloud of smoke in that. Do you think that's what they were going for, playing off of those images we saw from 9/11?
If they were, it was probably unintentional. I don't think that was their intention to
Hmm.
do that. Because then again, a lot of people would have been pissed off about it.
Sure,
But I think that's just something that is supposed to happen when obviously he's going to destroy buildings, or you're going to
sure.
see that fall off. But I don't think their intention was to play off of anything off of 9/11.
Not give that kind of feel again, because
No.
maybe that was kind of the because she even she drops the line at one point, is this another terrorist attack? And
Hmm.
then we get to see the Chrysler building fall, and for me I'm like, maybe it was just they were just, that is like you said, they were trying to do the realistic portrayal of what happened and not necessarily
Now,
try to call back to 9/11.
yeah.
But
Now, of course, that line, of course, you would expect someone to say that
Mhm.
because right now you're not thinking about a monster. You thought, wait a minute, oh man, don't tell me they're attacking us again. So
Right.
that's good. So that's just be expected.
Yeah,
To be expected.
with them being in New York, definitely you could see someone asking that. And then they go to the bridge and they lose their brother, and then they go down to the subway, which mad props to the civil engineers and the engineers who designed New York subways, because
Mm.
apparently no matter how big the monster is above you, it will not collapse the tunnel. I was waiting for it to collapse, but we never get that.
Mm.
But we do get the creatures, the little creatures that fall off the guys. And how'd you feel about that aspect with the monster where it drops off these little ones? And I was just getting flashbacks to the Godzilla 98 film with the little Godzillas out of eggs. But would you how'd you feel about with that aspect of it, of getting the little creatures to break off? Did you think did you like that aspect of it? Do you think that it felt, it didn't feel forced at all?
No, it didn't feel forced at all.
Mhm.
That was something extra in how I
Mhm.
felt because all of a sudden you see next you know these creatures just falling off and they're attacking the army guys, and then we see them again. I said, oh man, this is decent. Now you got to deal with them. I got to deal with these small ass creatures.
And
and
it
based on and based on what we see later on, they're worse than the big one.
they are worse than the big one because their bite ends up doing something. Unfortunately, to our the character that I really
And
enjoy, un-
yeah.
unfortunately, which you kind of knew what would happen when she got bit, because you're like,
Mm,
okay, you don't have someone get bit like that and live without something nasty going to happen to them later.
mm,
Um, And it does. Later on, we find out that the infected. Now, my question was, and maybe Lamont, you could maybe give some clarity to it. Is my son had the question too? Is now when they got bit, did something come out of them, or did it just cause them to pop like a balloon?
It caused him to pop like a balloon
Okay, it
because
is okay.
even though we don't see it, but we can see because she's dopey. She's got blood in her eyes, and
Right.
when you take her in the back, you can see the shot. You can see all of a sudden her body starts to expand, and boom, she blows. She basically just blows up.
I just was trying to make sure I didn't miss like something coming out of it,
Hmm.
if that's how it maybe reproduced or something. But because I was trying to figure out, okay, do they just die or is there actually something in them? But we're never around them long enough to really find out. But okay, so it is just them popping, which yeah, you're right. I kind of dug the little ones a bit more than the big guy actually. And of course they did that to keep the feeling of danger, I'm sure, because he needed some aspect, because otherwise they could have just held out in the tunnels
Hmm.
till everything blew over basically. And I guess the little ones did give them motivation to move. And so then Rob finally, there is one of the more humorous parts that I did enjoy was the part with where they finally come upon Rob's girlfriend's apartment, and you
Hmm.
find that it's leaning against
Oh yeah.
another building, and they're debating on whether or not to go in. Um,
That seemed it was a little bit far fetched
uh-huh.
because they're debating to go in, but Rob he's determined, so they literally crawl on this whatchamacallit to go to the other side of the building. They're scared shitless. It's scared shitless,
And he's still
and
holding the damn camera though, Lamont.
and again, it's like I said, it's like wait a minute. Then I said, this is getting a bit ridiculous. Now I know this is a movie, and I know he's the eye for he's actually he's got a camera on him, so they got to show this. But then again, it's like I would have put the camera down and do what I had to do, and then pick the camera back up. That's when you sometimes you do have to suspend belief, and sometimes because the average person is not going to keep holding the camera and film it while he's trying to cross over a very dangerous platform that's unstable.
Or just like earlier in the tunnel when they were being attacked by the little monsters, you're
Hmm.
not going to get attacked and keep holding the camera. This, I guess this is the part I guess I couldn't suspend. And I think that's was the major problem I had with the film was that I just when I would maybe start to get into it and start to suspend my disbelief, we get scenes like that or scenes like he's crawling up this sloped, leaning apartment building, but by God, he's holding on to the camera. I'm just like, dude, put it down, man.
Hmm.
I like, this is not how quite this works. And you can put the camera down, it'll still record. Really honest.
Hmm.
Really. And then there's the whole thing too, though, and we have this problems with other films, though, in that movie medical conditions are far different than real life
Oh, you got that right.
because we do happen upon Beth, and what has happened to Beth, Lamont?
She's got a steel rod stuck in her shoulder.
And not like grazed her shoulder or anything. This shit's through her like
It's
pec
through her
almost.
shoulder. It's through her shoulder. Now, at least this time, they actually put the camera down so he can pull out,
Right?
so you don't, well, they don't film the part. Even though we hear her screaming because that was very painful, but like I said, wow, finally, you actually put the damn camera down.
It took him like an hour, but hey, he finally put the damn camera down to pull her off of the rebar, which, if anybody's thinking about it, you know, you're not really supposed to pull those things out because you usually bleed out. But
Hmm.
um,
Because the one thing you don't know if she's if it struck any arteries in there,
mhm.
if there's any broken bones. That's why you have to leave it in and let the professionals do it, because at least that way they can actually do an X-ray and see what's going on. You know, but gotta have a movie.
We gotta have that third act, and even though she's got a serious, like a quarter sized or larger hole through her shoulder, um, she manages to crawl up the building, down the building with help, down the stairs away from the monster who just happens to be coming towards their building,
Hmm.
and makes it to the chopper. Which, dude, I loved it when they ran across the military, because the military here, we don't get to see them often, but would you say that they actually portray the military at least not as incompetent as we sometimes get in films like this?
Oh yeah, yeah. They were quite serious.
Mm-hmm.
They're quite serious, and they didn't mince words, because the guy says, "Yeah, he said we don't know, but all we know is that this thing is winning."
Yeah,
It's like, well, we're finding it, but we can't seem to hurt it.
yeah. He came out and just told them that, hey, no, you know what, we're losing. But I was like, I loved how they portrayed the soldiers. Great. They aren't incompetent like we usually get in monster or horror films where the people know a
Mm-hmm.
little better than that. Okay, great, great. Until they get to the chopper scene, because the chopper is evacuating the people. And instead, Lamont, of them putting the person who is injured first
Mm-hmm.
on the helicopter.
They put Jessica Lewis's character in there first.
Right? I,
let's 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 put the person who's not hurt. We'll put him on the chopper first, instead of putting what's her name, Oda Beth. I forget her
yeah,
name.
Beth. Yeah,
Yeah,
Odette,
we put Beth.
Annabelle. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. Well, let's put her in the chopper first.
yeah,
Let's put her in the no, no. Let's have Jessica Lewis's character put in first.
yeah. She gets out. Her chopper makes it, from
Yeah.
what I could tell.
Mm.
Which means if they would have put the injured person first on the chopper, that one too. I got like, yeah, I understand. Okay, we're whittling it down to where we only have Rob and Beth left at the end, which is what you get.
Mm.
Um, but that one just got me. I'm like, oh, these guys are great. They're just like, nah, just put the next person. What about this injured person who's bleeding? Nah, yeah, she'd get the next chopper. we got 20 seconds before we get stepped on by a big monster. We're good. Yeah.
Mm.
you know, and it was moments like that for me, I guess. I tried, but it just could not. I could not escape them enough to let them by in this case, and I'm not quite sure why. Because this is the third time I've watched the film, and it just
Mm.
for me, granted, now I enjoy it a little bit better this time than when I first saw it, and my
Mm.
second time seeing it. This time, I did enjoy it more, but I still found a lot of parts of it that I just couldn't get over, and I wish I could, because I'm like, I should be able to. It just, for some reason, either the direction or maybe it is the found footage as well, so you don't have other things distracting me anyway from the problems that I might have run across. You know what I mean?
Mm.
Because some movies like that, I'm sure you've watched movies to where you still enjoyed it, even though there's some warts on it, but you kind of look past the warts because overall you had things to enjoy. And I guess for me, it was still a tough sell. And I feel bad because and I'm glad you enjoyed it so much. And I know many people who really enjoy Cloverfield. Um, but for me, it's just like, especially we get to the end where the helicopter crashes because the monster attacked it, as we mentioned before.
Mm.
And HUD, I understand maybe he was scared stiff shooting the monster.
Mm.
But Lamont, would you have stood there and filmed it the whole time, or would you have tried to run?
I'm dropping the camera. I'm running the other way, because that's it's like, now again, it's just for the purpose of the audience to actually see the monster
Mhm.
standing still with no shaky cam,
Right.
and you see it. We finally get a full image of the monster. So I'm assuming that's what Matt Reeves. I think, was it Matt Reeves
Yes,
who
Matt
directed
Reed. Yep.
this? Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that's what Matt Reeves was going for. So it's like, so even though it in real life there's simply no one in the road, but you be filming a monster standing up looking at you, you be running your ass off the other way. But that's basically what they wanted to do. We haven't really got a good shot at the monster, so this is a good time for it because we're at the end of the film anyway. So we might also get a quality good shot at the monster, even though Hud's going to die.
Yeah, I mean, Hud's gonna. I mean, he's standing there filming it. You're like, oh well, there. Hud made it this far. Good on you, Hud. You're
Mhm.
dead. You're getting the full shot of the creature. It just saw you. You're done. And then he gets munched, and we having that problem again of the found footage, which is the camera conveniently falls
Mhm.
right next to his body, so he's in shot. Which, I did dig that the camera was all shaky that as he's getting munched, but then when the camera lands and he just happens to land in front of the camera, and I understand it's a movie, it's just this is the tough part that I have with any of the found footage is sitting there going, a couple coincidences I can kind of buy into, but for me personally, it's just like after a while you're just like, yeah, okay, no, the camera just happened to land that way. And then though, Rob picks it up. I don't know, man. I guess for me that was just a little tough because then we get the emotional part with his girlfriend still bleeding out, or she healed. I'm not sure, because we've totally ignored that injury now. And they're doing their little goodbyes as you've come to find out they're gonna totally not nuke, but pretty much annihilate Lower Manhattan.
Mhm.
And yeah, for me, it was one of those where watching it this time, I found a few more things that I actually enjoyed what they were going for. There are some intense moments, but
Mhm.
overall, I think for me, and maybe this is where I try not to let expectations affect my enjoyment of a film, but I think in this case it did because I really love monster films. And so I think going into this film, I was expecting something a little different, plus it being the genre that.
Yeah, because I didn't go in. Because I really didn't know what to expect.
Mhm.
Because I knew it was something. I just didn't know it was a monster film. So
Sure,
my
sure.
expectations weren't as high. I just
Right.
says, well, I don't know what's going on because it really didn't show anything in the trailers, which I thought was good. We
Which
just
is
knew that
good, yeah.
with something. Obviously, when something was attacking the city, but when we realized it's a monster, like, oh shit, a monster! Wow, we got a monster movie here.
Yeah, and
So I give every of them credit for how they marketed the film.
it was another, and early year marketing I liked of films, especially through the 90s and into the as they're called, the noughties or whatever, early not the way they marketed films I thought was really well done, even with the internet age. I
Hmm.
thought they handled marketing with those films a lot better because you're right. That is the one thing you don't get. I think I found out it was going to be a monster film because I saw it spoiled or something online beforehand. Um, but they did do an excellent job of making you wonder, okay, is this an alien invasion film? Is this that, though it also had people wondering, why is it called Cloverfield?
Yeah.
It's like, what,
Hmm.
why, what is it about Cloverfield? And, JJ Abrams, his name's attached to this. So you're just like, oh shit, well, I'm in now. Cause
Hmm.
it's JJ Abrams. So, um, and yeah, I don't know. For me, it's still one of those films that's a hard, and I feel bad, but I think for me personally, it really is my aversion or whatever you want to call it to found footage. I think really affected how I took this film.
Hmm.
Um, because it
Did you?
always,
I'm trying to think. I don't know if there was any other found footage that came out other than the Blair Witch. I don't think there's any other found footage movie that actually came out until a Cloverfield came out. Because I'm trying to. I don't think there were.
Wide release, not really. There was direct to video stuff, of
Hmm.
course, because once they, you know, Blair Witch, I didn't quite care for either. I have a buddy, Derek. He enjoys the film, and I know many people who enjoy the film. Me personally, I didn't quite care for the film. I didn't think there was any payoff personally for it,
Hmm.
which kind of frustrated me with it. And that, yeah, you're right, that was kind of the first introduction. And there weren't many found footage films between when Blair Witch came out and Cloverfield. So it is still, as far as wide release audiences goes, it's still a fairly new aesthetic, a new approach to films. Of course, soon we got all kinds of.
We got all kinds of found footage.
I mean, and I do blame it is the Blair Witch effect because it showed, but a lot of people I think realized even with Cloverfield and Blair Witch, one of the things they both did have was fantastic marketing around them. I mean, especially Blair Witch. Let's face it, Blair Witch probably doesn't become as popular as it does if you didn't have so much buildup, and the way they marketed that film was brilliant.
Yeah, and I think that's what did it for me, because when I saw the marketing film, I was like, wait a minute, this is a movie. This is not real. It didn't fool me at all. So when to finally see it, I'm like, this is what everyone's going crazy about. I don't get it. But I think it was because everyone thought it was real, so they just assumed what they were watching is real. So that's why it made so much money, because people actually thought it was real. But I knew it wasn't. So I guess that's why it didn't work for me.
With Blair Witch, I still remember it. We actually drove to a different town at the time to go see it. My buddy, we all were together. It doesn't happen often. So we decided, okay, let's see what this is about. We go see Blair Witch. And we came out of it and I was just like, and we were all kind of like, yeah, okay. And then we told my buddy, was like, well, that was all staged. And he was like, oh, it was? Oh, that could have been a lot better then. Because he was like, he thought it was real too, because he had seen the History Channel, build up, because they did the documentary. They had the book. I actually got the book about it. I mean, they had such a great build up to that film. So by the time it came out, people are like, wow, is this real or what? And yeah. And so, yeah, you're right. Paranormal Activity did come out just before Cloverfield.
I thought it came out after.
Is 2007. Cloverfield was 2008.
Okay, yeah, the first year.
So, but it was still a fresh genre. They were still trying to feel their way out. So, yeah, because Cloverfield was 2008. But it was the explosion around this time of found footage wide release stuff, because you had Paranormal Activity, which the original ending, folks, I got the chance to see, so much better than the Hollywood ending that launched an unexpected franchise. You had that Quarantine, as you mentioned, came out, which was a remake of REC, which came out a year before Cloverfield, because Quarantine came out about the same year as Cloverfield, actually.
Yeah.
So you had around this time, this kind of exploration in wide release found footage. And Cloverfield, if you want to go out of those found footage films at that time, it was an interesting approach. I think they were still trying different ways, and this was a unique way to give yourself a monster film. And so I give them props for that. But for me personally, I just couldn't get into it. But I think if it was a different approach, if they hadn't done found footage, I probably would have enjoyed Cloverfield more, in all honesty. And I always find good, and tonight I did find some good. And Lamont, you've made a very good case for this film. I'm going to be honest, you made me want to watch it again.
Oh, good.
The perspective you've given me, some of the perspective you've given me, and hearing you talk about it tonight makes me want to watch it again, though I can't change the fact we don't get a monster for 18 minutes. Which...
Hey, that's what people were complaining about 2014 Godzilla.
Right, exactly. You get 8 minutes of Godzilla in that one, if that. Yeah.
No, it's like, we didn't see Godzilla enough.
Never mind the fact that there are some Godzilla films where you only see that amount of Godzilla. Trust me, I know there's some of them out there to where you're like, why are we on these people? Godzilla's in the title. I want monsters. When you saw this, though, And I know we saw, you get the ending, the very ending where they actually show the little Easter egg splash in the background.
Yeah,
And that's a month before the events actually happened. So that leads you to believe that, okay, the creature actually landed. Did you expect it to come out with 2 more movies in this world?
yes,
You did.
yeah, because of the success of the movie and the amount of money, you knew there was going to be a sequel. I didn't know how they're going to do it with
Mhm.
obviously with 10 Cloverfield Lane and the Cloverfield Paradox. Now, obviously, those are two separate movies. One was excellent. I love 10 Cloverfield Lane. Couldn't stand Paradox.
Paradox. I'm like, you guys just slapped the damn Cloverfield name on there. Don't
Yeah, that was it. It was a different movie. Obviously they couldn't probably get anybody to release it. So you know what? We'll add some stuff onto it. We'll have, I think it was Donald Lowe's voice
Yeah.
on it to make it fit the Cloverfield, and then that's it. Now we get the Cloverfield Paradox, but really had nothing to do with Cloverfield at all.
No, I
O-
mean,
Other than that little 10 minute with Donald Globe, and then of course the Cloverfield monster appearing up in the clouds, which I
yeah.
thought because it didn't make any sense because the Cloverfield monster was not that big.
No, it was not that big. I mean, maybe it grew to that size. I
Mm,
don't know, but yeah, Paradox was, and 10 Cloverfield Lane I loved. And actually, one of the motivations for my oldest son to sit down and watch Cloverfield with me was because
mm.
he actually saw 10 Cloverfield Lane first. And
Oh, okay.
he enjoyed it. He thought it was a little weird though that suddenly it goes into this alien invasion film. He's like, what is this? And then he read up on it and realized, oh, there was actually a film before this that takes place in the same universe around the
Hmm.
same time. And so that's why he wanted to watch this. And he agrees. Yeah, he loved 10 Cloverfield Lane. He enjoyed it. I
Hmm.
enjoy that film a lot more. Of the three, I think 10 Cloverfield Lane is great. It is a completely different film.
Oh yeah.
And and I give them mad props for working in the sci-fi element. I know some people didn't like it with that film, but what surprised me more with 10 Cloverfield Lane, and I know it's a little bit of a tangent, but uh, I was surprised of how well they kept that film under wraps.
Oh yeah. Especially in the day with social media, because no one knew nothing about this film. Because all of a sudden, next thing you know, a trailer release came out, and bam, here it is, 10 Cloverfield. Like, what the hell?
And
Where'd this come from?
not only that, it was during the Super Bowl. I
Yeah.
remember watching it, and I'm like, wait, what? And you go on the internet, and the entire internet went, wait, what? Suddenly people are scrambling. I remember seeing my news feed explode with people going, what the hell is it? Where'd this come from? Who? It's, and it was only 3 months before the film came out. And I was like, okay, mad props. Mad props in a day and age when you have everybody looking for everything to need to know everything about a film to keep a movie like this, especially with the stars they had in it and the fact it was connected to Cloverfield, to keep it quiet for that long.
Mm-hmm.
Holy shit. you know? And yeah, it's interesting. We've got these 3 films now in the Cloverfield Paradox went to straight neck to Netflix, didn't
Yeah,
it?
Netflix. Yeah, yeah.
And it didn't feel like in place. Like you said, I honestly think too that this is a different film that they did some post-production work to tie it into Cloverfield at the last minute to try to
Mm-hmm.
sell it because they realized, oh, we don't really have much of a product here. So do you want to see, and I guess we'll wrap it up tonight, say, would you like to see another movie in this universe during this timeline of events with the alien invasion? And would you like to see it again with either another monster or 2 monsters or on a bigger scale? Would you like to see another Cloverfield movie, I guess? And which genre would you rather it be first person, or would you rather have like the fourth movie be a standard narrative?
And just a standard narrative. The standard narrative, obviously continue the storyline. whether it's aliens or aliens monsters. They definitely need to. They definitely do need to come to some type of conclusion with the story, with the story. And I'm pretty sure that unfortunately with the failure of Paradox, I don't know what J.J. Abrams or anybody else is going to be doing with this franchise, but they do need to come up with something. Probably hopefully to make up for the mistake that was Paradox.
Yeah, because I personally would love to see them take the Mary Elizabeth Winstead character from 10 Cloverfield Lane and
Hmm.
follow her.
Oh yeah.
I would love to see her full on badass fighting aliens, like you said, in kind of a conclusion of the story. And who knows, we may still get it, just not right away. They
Hmm.
may take a few years, and JJ's rather busy, with the film. Uh, so he may be a little busy, but yeah, I agree with you. Even though um, I didn't care for Cloverfield that much, I enjoyed 10 Cloverfield Lane more, and Paradox, yeah, was just, oh my lord, it's there. Um, I would like to see another one as well in this universe and see what they do with it, because at least it is interesting approach, especially today's day and age, where it's more like an anthology series than an actual like direct sequels,
Yeah.
which we aren't getting that much of, especially with franchises like this, especially when you get a Cloverfield movie like this that had such a big opening, and success. To not do it as a linear movie sequel series, I thought is actually pretty daring.
Hmm.
And yeah, I'd like to see one more. Apparently, according to IMDb, now take it for wafer thin. Apparently, he does have listed an untitled Cloverfield sequel to be the
Hmm.
producer of. Now, who knows when that's going to be?
Hmm.
But would you like to see? You said, Lamont, yes. You'd like to see Mary Elizabeth Winstead's character come back, maybe.
Oh yeah, I like her because I liked her character in
Mhm,
10 Cloverfield Lane, so I would like to see that character come back.
mhm. Yeah, me too. I found her interesting. I think there's more they could do with her character quite a bit, and there's more that they can do within this universe as long as they don't have the creature in the clouds anymore.
Yeah.
Because yeah, it wasn't. I don't care how clear of a day it was, and you're in space. It wasn't that big, folks. It
No.
it wasn't quite that big. I get what they were trying to go for, but but we will see. Hopefully, we do get another one because I think there's a lot more story there. And yeah, I think Cloverfield Lane aged well as far as special effects, and for me, it's still a hard sell mainly because of the genre. But Lamont, your final thought with Cloverfield Lane? Would you recommend this to people?
Oh yeah, I definitely recommend it to anyone. Now, just try to bypass that it's found footage because I know a lot of people don't like found footage, but I believe it's one of the better found footage movies out there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And
I,
I will agree as far as found footage genre goes, which there are so many now.
mhm.
It is one of the better done ones, especially better done Hollywood found footage films, because it's like you'd think found footage is more regulated and held to indie films. So when you get a big studio to do it, um, yeah, it is one of the better produced ones there. I enjoyed it more than the Paranormal Activity series. Uh, to which I'm just like, oh my god, that series. Oh, I didn't expect it to go past one. And did you see the original Hollywood and the original ending to Paranormal Activity, Lamont?
um, I think I saw both the Hollywood and the other ending.
Hmm.
And because I think the Hollywood ending is when we see what's his the Raj character.
Hmm.
He gets thrown into the camera. We see her. She's got blonde hair shirts. Then next we know she's got a demon face, and she just goes and that's
Yeah,
it.
yeah, that's the Hollywood supposedly Spielberg recommended ending.
Uh-huh.
Supposedly,
Mm.
I'm like, okay, I'm not buying that one. And the original ending was by far darker, but I liked it because the way they
Yeah,
did it.
because I remember he gets killed.
Mhm.
She stands into the camera. She has a knife in her hand. Then she takes a knife and slices her own throat. I think that was the ending.
Actually,
But,
maybe that was another one because the one that I saw, uh, after she kills him, she sits by the bed rocking for like almost a day because
oh
it
yeah,
fast
that's right. Yeah.
forwards. And then the cops show up, but you don't see them because it's still from the bedroom. And
Hmm.
then she goes after the cops and they shoot her dead.
Oh, okay.
And then, no, yeah, you're right. She kills the cops. They shoot her. She jumps up, kills the cops, comes, stares at the camera, and then slits her own throat. That's,
Hmm.
yeah, you're right. That's what I believe happened. And I like that ending a lot better. But
Hmm.
but Cloverfield Lane, there you go, folks. You've got one argument, a very strong argument for it, and for me, I'm still not sold. But I am honestly saying this that I may have to, not right away because I just watched it yesterday, but I will probably sit down and watch it again and take into account what my fantastic guest here tonight has said about it and given me some pause with it to see if maybe I can see the movie that you saw, Lamont.
Hmm.
Eventually, I think I will again. So I thank you, Lamont, for doing this show. As always, appreciate your
Thanks for
time.
always having me on.
You bet. And now here's the time where you get a license to shill, sir. So please plug your stuff.
All right, you will see me on YouTube as the Horror Miser Money G. I have reviews coming up from Netflix's The Perfection and I Am Mother. I also
Mm,
just put up my review of Dark Phoenix, so you want to take a look at those videos. They're up right now. Actually, should have The Perfection review up by tomorrow, and I Am Mother up by Friday.
nice. So
Mhm.
he is a very busy man. He has some great stuff on his channel, always putting out new content. And gives a great perspective. So, yes, I appreciate your time and I appreciate everybody listening to our show. We are slowly growing all the time, and it's thanks to you folks out there as well and your support and spreading the word. And we really appreciate that as well. And yeah, maybe I'll have to do another revised review of Cloverfield sometime after I watch it for a fourth time, which I all honestly never thought I'd be saying, but I think, yeah, I'll give it one more shot. So,
Okay.
um, well, thank you everyone, and now we'll just say good night, Lamont.
Good night, everyone.
All right. Well, thank you, sir.
All
Appreciate
right,
it.
thanks, Mike.
You
Yeah.
bet. I know it's getting late by you, so but I appreciate it. I'll have this up at the end of the week on Friday, most likely. And yeah, I'm going tomorrow. I'm trying to decide what I want to watch tomorrow because you got
Mhm.
Men in Black International coming out
Yeah.
tomorrow, and then crap, what else? There was another. There's like one or two other release. Oh, Shaft is coming out.
Yeah, Shaft. That's right. I almost forgot about Shaft. Yeah, that's coming out.
Yeah, I think everybody forgot because we saw like one trailer for it,
Yeah, we
and then
only
I
saw
didn't.
one. I said they certainly did not market that movie very well, which gives me pause.
Okay, so I'm not the only one because I saw like two trailers for it in front of movies, and then I heard nothing about it, and I'm like, did I miss its release? Did I? What did it come out yet? And yeah, you're right, and so it's out this weekend. So that does kind of give me a little like, did they lose confidence in this film? This isn't a Fox film that was taken over by Disney, was it? Because
Hmm.
it feels like Disney's just slash and burning anything Fox even had planned. Uh,
Hmm.
so yeah, so well, thank you very much, sir. I'll let you go, and I'll let you know when this is posted.
All right, thanks.
Thanks a lot. You have a good night, sir.
All right, you too.
Bye.